Welcome to Tech Life and Fun channel. In this video, we will be solving KillerShell CKS exam. It's the latest version of 2024, and this is the part 1 of the video. Please do hit like and subscribe. That gives us motivation to make more such videos. So without further ado, let's jump to the exam. So this is the kind of interface that you will be given for the actual exam as well. So the moment you get onto this, quickly spin up your documentation as well as your terminal. You can open kubernetes.io. Double tap on the top bar to adjust the resolution, and then quickly spin up one terminal. On this terminal, the way I start the exam is I create my aliases in this file, and I also use it to track any questions that I need to relook, any question that I am skipping. For example, if I'm skipping question number 2, I would say question number 2 Falco, and this file would have a record as to what I have skipped in the exam. You can use your own aliases, whatever makes you comfortable in the exam. These are what I use. This is something will take only 2-3 minutes of your exam's time, but this is something that will benefit you for entire duration of rest of the exam. So one would be kubectl, one for kubectl get, describe, kubectl run, kubectl create, and then for deletion, and then for setting the context. So let's give the aliases, kubectl get, describe, run, create. This is an interesting one, delete with grace period equal to 1, so that deletion happens quickly as in when you require. And then the most important one, setting the context. Kubectl config, set hyphen context minus minus current minus minus namespace. And then maybe just set default namespace before starting any question and then clearing the terminals. So your file is ready. Let's quickly set everything up on the terminal. All right, you're good to go. Let's start with the first question. You are given access to multiple clusters. We need to write all the context names into this file, and we need to extract the certificate of this user from the kubeconfig and write it to the other file. So let's quickly run the kubectl config get context command. Okay, so we only need the name, so -o name. So this is the data that we require. Let's put it in the first file. All right, now we need the certificates of this user. So if you do kubectl config view, you will get the kubectl config, but the certificates will come masked. So what you need to do is kubectl view --raw, and then search for the user restricted infra prod. There it is, restricted infra prod, and this is the certificate. This is required in a decoded format. So let's do that. Echo value pipe base 64 minus decoded. So there you are. That's your certificate. Now let's put this thing into the other file. Cool. We are done with the first question. Before jumping to the next one, let's just clear the terminal. All right. This question is on Falco. Usually such questions should be left till the end of the exam, as these could be time consuming. Anyways, in this question, they are talking about Falco is installed on the cluster node. So we need to go into this cluster node and we need to find two kind of logs. One is a pod running Nginx and creating unwanted packages, and the other log is HTTPD image that is modifying etc passwd files. And for case one, we need to change the log format and we need to save this for at least 30 seconds into this particular file location. And then final part is after we have identified the pods for both case one and two, we need to downsize the deployment to replica count 0 so that these pods do not exist anymore. So let's jump into the Falco location. Actually, Falco will be found inside the terminal. So for this kind of question, I'll spin up one more terminal. Maybe quickly set up our aliases here. Right now, in the first one, I'll just SSH into the cluster node. Let's go to the default Falco location, etc Falco, something you need to remember by heart for the exam. And in this, we need to look at Falco YAML for how the Falco is configured. So here, if you go down, you will see that syslogs are enabled. There you see syslog is enabled. So some of the logs will go into syslog, some will appear under the normal Falco command. So let's look at the syslogs. Grep Falco. Now in these logs, what you see is package management process launched in container for Nginx. This is the first part, which also talks about changing the log format. Maybe let's just identify the pod name first. So the way you can identify the pod name for the given container ID is this. So you have a container ID here. You need to use cryptal ps minus ID, and you give this ID. Cryptal pods minus ID. From the first here, we'll take the pod ID. So this gives us the pod name and the namespace. Maybe let's just copy it on the other terminal. And this belongs to the namespace team blue. We are noting it down as we are asked to reduce the replicas to 0 for this deployment. We'll do that later. First, let's just change the log format. So we need to go to Falco rules.yaml. That is probably where we find the logs. Let's just copy the text of the log and escape / search for the rule. There you go. This is the rule. So we can change it here, but then we'll lose the track of the original rule. So better approach is we copy it from here and come out of it and update the rule in the Falco rules local file. So we'll open Falco underscore rules. All right, come to the bottom, paste the rule, and then we change the format. Let's give a text that we'll use to grep later. Let's call it demo. You can call it anything you want. So we need time with nanoseconds. So that would be percent evt dot time, and then next is container ID. So percent container dot ID. Next is container name. So let's just copy it till here. And user dot name. Okay, so we have event time, container ID, container name, and user name. So should be good. Let's restart the systemctl restart Falco. Again, let's check the logs. For that, we will run our this command again. Var logs is log grep Falco. And do we see demo showing up now? Yes. So we have demo showing up. All good. We need to capture these logs for 30 seconds. So let's do like this. Let's copy these into another file. Let's just call it vi temp, maybe. Paste them. And now we'll take out the exact output. Only this part is needed in the output. So we'll say cat temp, then we'll use the awk command. This is the general syntax of the awk command, and then you can give the caller number you want to print. So caller number in our case should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's see, what are we getting at column 9? There you go. So we need to put this into this location. Let's go to the main terminal, not inside the cluster node. So Great. This part is done. Now we can actually change the replica count for this application. So what we can say is get me the deployments in the namespace team blue, and we have this web API. All right. So what we'll say is kubectl scale deploy, name of the deployment, and replica count as 0. We can check again. Yeah. So first part is totally done, and now we need to look at the second part, HTTPD that modify this. So these logs were not appearing in the syslog. So for this, we will run the falco command. Let's clear everything first. Falco grep, and maybe we can just copy paste HTTPD. If it is getting logged, we'll see it. There you go. So you can see the error, exactly what the second point is talking about. File below etc opened for writing. All right, and the HTTP image. So we have the container ID. Let's do the same exercise again. Let's find out the pod name and the namespace where this container is running. Critical ps minus id. Critical ps minus pods. Sorry, critical pods minus id, and this will be the. You can copy the pod ID from here. There you are. It's Team Turtle, and the pod name is this. So let's look at Team Turtle this time. And rating service is what we need to get rid of. So we say kubectl get tip, or maybe I'll just go to my previously executed commands. Get deploy in the namespace Team Turtle. So yeah, rating service. So we'll just downgrade rating service to 0 replicas. Kubectl scale deploy rating service in the namespace Team Turtle. Oh, sorry. Minus replicas equal to 0. So all good. You can quickly check as well. Yeah, 0. So we are done with the Falco question, and we can move to the next one. And before moving to next one, let's close one of the terminals so that there's never any confusion as to if you have set the right context and namespace or not. I always like to do this, going back to the default namespace and clearing the terminal. Okay. In this question, you are asked to look into the cluster security from API server perspective, and it says that API servers is accessible through node port service. We need to change it so that it is available as a cluster IP service. So let's quickly take a look. If we go to this cluster, and if I do kubectl get svc, you see the Kubernetes service is of type node port. We need to change it to cluster IP. So directly changing this service here will not help. We need to change the API server settings. So we need to go to the control plane node. Let's SSH into the control plane node. Let's go to the API server manifest location. And here, if you see this line here, line number 29, sorry, 28, Kubernetes services node port 3100. This is what is causing that service to be of type node port. So we delete this line and we go back to the root node, and then the existing service, we can simply delete the service should get created again. So we say we'll use the alias that we created at the start of the question. kubectl delete grace period 1 svc, and the name of the service is Kubernetes. All right, looks like the API server has not yet come back up after we have changed the property. So let's wait a little for it to come back up. Okay, let's try again. Okay, this time the service is deleted, and now if we search for the services, Kubernetes service is back up automatically 4 seconds ago as a cluster IP. So yes, we are good with this question as well. All right, this question talks about deployment in namespace team red, which mounts run containerd as a host path, which is considered not a very good practice from pod security standards perspective. So to prevent this, they are asking that this namespace to implement pod security standard of type baseline, and then try to restart this pod and see that it doesn't start and capture the error logs here. So you can read about pod security standard if it is new to you on the documentation. Pod security standard. Basically, you need to set a label at the namespace to implement the pod security. And you can tell what type of security you want to implement: privileged, baseline, restricted. Questions is baseline, so that is what we will do. But yeah, that's where you can read more about it. So I'll go back to the question. Let's switch to the, let's clear the terminal first. Let's switch to the namespace team red. Let's look at the deployment. Yeah, deployment is there as mentioned in the question. So let's apply the pod security standard. kubectl label namespace team red, and you can find it on the page that I was showing you earlier. So this is how the label will look like: pod hyphen security dot kubernetes dot io slash enforce equal to baseline. Baseline starting with all in small caps. There you go. It's labeled. Now, if we go to deployment, let's delete this old running deployment. kubectl delete pod. It's error here. Let's look at our alias, something we might have done some mistake there. Kubectl delete minus grace period equal to 1. Oh, that looks fine. So container host. Oh, that's a deployment name. We need, okay, I never did kubectl get on pod name. Kubectl get pod. Yeah, so this is the pod name that we actually need to delete. All right, my bad. So delete pod. Let's give the pod name. Okay, the pod is gone. We can capture the error logs when replica set tries to spin up this pod again with the pod security in place now. So we do kubectl get replica set, kubectl describe replica set. There you see the error messages, right? Because host path is being mounted, the pod security standard doesn't allow this to be created again. So we need to capture all of this in this location. So this location would be, let's open the file first, and then let's copy all of this content there. All right, we are done with the fourth question. Let's clear the terminal again and go back to the default namespace before starting the next question. Question number 5. Let's set the context. So we need to fix certain issues with respect to CIS benchmarks. Qbench is available, and that is available on the nodes, not on this terminal, on the node. So you need to go into the nodes to fix the respective issues. So what are the nodes? We have one control plane and one cluster node, worker node. So it talks about on the master node, we need to fix profiling for kube controller manager and the ownership of etcd. There can be more issues as well when we run the kube bench on the respective nodes, but we only need to fix what's asked in the question. And then it talks about the worker node. On worker node, it is talking about 2 parameters that should be set properly. So let's start with the master thing first. So let's go into the master node. Let's just run kubebench. Let's see if it's available. Yeah, it's available. So kubebench run minus minus targets equal to master. So we see these are the failure ones, and among these we only need to fix these two. So one is 112 HCD ownership. Let's talk about HCD ownership. So 1112. So you can go to the HCD YAML under etc Kubernetes manifest and confirm that indeed the data directory for HCD is this particular location. By default, usually it is like kept this only, and I know this is what is set in the HCD YAML, so I'll just skip that part and quickly run this command. And the other thing is the profiling in kube controller manager. So that would be 1.4.1. No, that is kube scheduler. Kube controller manager is here. Let's just see. Yeah, this one, kube controller manager, filing false. So let's just copy this part. Maybe actually let's open the kube controller manager thing first. Yeah, profiling is not set. So let's copy it from the terminal. All right, cool. So this is done. Maybe we can run the kubebench report again just to see that these two issues are gone. So kube controller is still restarting. We can check the status like this. Watch critical ps -a, another very handy command that you will need for the exam. And yes, kube controller is back up. Control C. All right, the failures have reduced, and those issues are the ones that we have fixed are not appearing here. So yeah, we're good with it. Let's quickly run it for the node as well. You can run it from the control plane. That's fine. Let's see what it says about the node. It has only one failure. The question talked about two, so apparently one is already in place. Let's look at the failure. Failure is that protect kernel defaults is not set, and that is what we are going to set it now. If we look at the solution, proposed solution 426, we need to go to varlib kubelet conf file and set this value. All right, so before setting this, let's jump out of the control plane and let's go into the worker node. Now let's go to varlib kubelet vi config.yml, and at the end of it, we just need to set that value. Let's copy it from the top. Escape. So this is the VI shortcut for jumping to the end of the file. Escape, shift, capital GG. There you go. And then you can also jump to the end of the line using escape dollar, then escape I, come to the bottom and then paste it. Now you need to restart the kubelet. So yeah, all good here. Back to the terminal. Let's clear everything out. And let's jump to the next question. We are given 4 binaries with their SHA-512 hashes. We need to verify if the hashes match. If not, then we can delete them. So let's go to this directory. Indeed, 4 values are there. So let's check for Cube API server first. So the command to generate SHA-512 hash is SHA-512 sum and then the binary. So looks like matching, but the way to be sure about it is to maybe copy this hash, create a file, let's say Q6, and in the next line, you copy the value provided to you. Make sure there are no extra spaces or anything. Save this file, and then you say cat Q6 type unique. So you're getting unique value. That means both the values are same. So yes, hash for this is matching. We will not be deleting this binary. Question says delete the binaries that don't match their SHA-512 values. All right, let's check for the Cube controller manager. We have the Cube controller manager value. Let's again do the same thing as hashes look pretty same from the naked eye. So we copy it, we go to file, delete previous values. And in the next line, let's copy the Cube controller manager. Unique, and you see both the values are actually different. There's some different. If you notice here, this is 0 and this is O. So there's something you will not be able to identify by just looking at it. So better use this unique approach. So kube controller manager is having wrong hash. So as per question, we will delete this binary. All right, over to kubelet now. So you see kubelets sha sum is starting with 7b, whereas here it's starting with 4b. So definitely kubelet is something we definitely need to remove as per the question. And then we are left with just kube proxy. And then copy kube proxies hash as per the given question, and then do our favorite unique thing. Yeah, they match. So we are good here. All right. So we're done with question 6. With this, we'll take a pause here and we'll see you in the next part, the next video.